Hello, and welcome to another installment of the Libertarian Starter Pack. My goal here is to let those not interested in voting for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump know that there is another option, the Libertarian Party. Today I want to talk about the Libertarian stance on the economy. Perhaps the best way to sum it up is to say that the government should not interfere in the economic activities of individuals and businesses until some sort of harm or fraud has occurred. In other words, reacting to perceived future crime is not the role of government. I'll break this topic down into two parts: taxes and regulation. Taxes. It has been said that fines are taxes for doing bad, and taxes are fines for doing good. Each dollar that is taxed out of your pocket is a dollar that you can't spend or save. Both spending and saving are vital to an economy. Spending sends messages out to the rest of the economy about what products and services are in demand. Savings allow banks to make loans to entrepreneurs and businesses so that they can make investments that they otherwise would not be able to do. Taxes pull money out of both of these processes and hurts employment and innovation. It is difficult to see exactly what economic activities are not taking place due to taxation, but it is an inevitable result. That being the practical argument for low taxes, there are also ethical arguments as well. When the government taxes something, whether it's an individual's income or property, a purchase, or the returns on an investment, the underlying assumption is that the government claims ownership over that thing. If the government doesn't get its cut of the transaction, there will be punishment either in cash or freedom. Libertarians view the income and property taxes as the greatest violations of private property and would have those abolished as soon as possible. Some libertarians favor the fair tax, or a national sales tax, in place of the income tax, for example. Simply put, if slavery is the confiscation of 100% of the products of your labor, when does it stop being slavery? Before the creation of the income tax in 1913, the U.S. had roads, fire departments, police, a military, and all other basic services people associate with small government. In 2014, the government taxed over $3 trillion out of the economy. For comparison, the U.S. GDP of 2014 was $17.6 trillion. That's 17% of the economic activity in the U.S. Does the U.S. government think it owns the product of our labor? Judging by these numbers, I think so. The only thing an individual is owed is the ownership of the wealth he creates or earns. Regulation. Recently, a study at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University estimated that the U.S. economy might have been $4 trillion larger now if regulatory accumulation had halted in 1980. I quote, "Compared to a scenario where regulations are held constant at levels observed in 1980, the study finds that the difference between the economy we are in now and a hypothetical economy where regulatory accumulation has halted in 1980 is approximately $4 trillion. The practical and ethical arguments for minimal regulation on the economy are very similar to those made for low taxes. There is a compelling argument that regulation steals money and efficiency from businesses. Compliance with government regulation and taxation is very costly. In addition, excessive regulation is also an admission that the government owns all businesses in its jurisdiction. Sure, enforcing penalties on businesses that cause harm can be seen as legitimate, but anything beyond that is the same as the government dictating how a business is run. If the government has a significant say in how you run your business, is it you or the government that owns it? Data points and statistics are good, but I find that the ethical arguments for economic freedom are the most persuasive. After all, we all know that statistics are not immune to manipulation. In the US, we like to say that we are the shining beacon of freedom in the world. Are we living up to that rhetoric if the government all but declares ownership of its citizens' income, property, and businesses? I imagine that this might be a bit more palatable for Republicans to accept. For those that identify or typically vote Democrat, I know that you dislike the rigged game that big businesses play and take advantage of, and that you view deregulation as laughable. But let me briefly address your concerns. The massive body of regulations actually give cover for politicians to grant special tax breaks, bailouts, and protections to big business. We now have the largest body of regulation and regulatory agencies we have ever had, and the problems are only getting worse. The power to regulate is also the power to grant special privileges. They are opposite sides of the same coin. Big business gives massive amounts of money to both political parties. We all know that they have most politicians in their pockets. If big business actually desired a free market, they would be funding the Libertarian Party, but they don't. What else do you need to know that the Libertarian Party is no friend to crony capitalists? Alright, thanks for listening. If you have any questions or want some sort of clarification for what I've said, go ahead and leave a comment below. I will do my best to answer any of your inquiries. Thanks again, and live free.